We'll hear from Joplin City officials about their action plans to boost the city's parks. The state of Missouri is pushing to create an equitable COVID-19 vaccine rollout for minority communities. 4 people, including 2 firefighters in Oklahoma, are dead after a weekend house fire.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
It's cold and icy across the 4 states today, forcing some schools, including Joplin, to close tomorrow as well. This is KOAM News at 6. We turn right now to meteorologist Nick Kelly with a look at our forecast.
You hit the nail right on the head, Chris. The same setup we had on Super Bowl Sunday stuck with us today. It's cloudy, it's cold, and with drizzle freezing as soon as it makes contact with the surface. It's leading to very slick roads, especially the side roads, and the main roads are just kind of a slow go if you have to be on the roads at this point. But winter weather advisories hold on for much of the area until midnight at the very latest. But I would not be surprised if we still held on to some areas of freezing drizzle as we headed into the overnight hours and into our Tuesday morning. Drizzle in its own right, very hard to pick up on the radar. So even though we saw mostly cloudy skies in the Skywatch storm tracker, even as we cranked the radar up to 11, our local radar network, we can see some pockets of freezing rain south of I-44, clipping areas around Grand Lake and south of I-44 in southwest Missouri. Everyone else is just cold. 11 in Iola, 18 in Webb City, but 30, though, in Anderson and Cassville. Everybody stays cold for tonight, though, with areas around Joplin holding on right around 20. But everyone will be dropping back into the teens tonight, with some freezing drizzle still possible, certainly for the next few days. We'll break down the extended forecast here in a bit, Chris.
All right, Nick, thank you. And remember to stay ahead of the weather and keep up on what's happening in your neighborhood. Just download the Skywatch Weather app. It's free in your favorite app store. All you have to do is search for the Skywatch Weather app. You can also find the latest school closings right below or at any time on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Joplin City staff have come up with a master plan to upgrade and possibly even expand on Joplin's many parks, and they'll soon be presenting it to the City Council. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to Joplin City Manager Nick Edwards about the park plan's major goals.
The city of Joplin says it has one of the largest municipal park departments in the entire state, and city management believes growing and maintaining those parks is integral to improving life in Joplin.
Parks in this day and age are seen as an economic development driver. We need to make sure that we've got something that is a destination for Joplin so that we're attracting others.
After receiving input from Joplin residents, the park plan's authors zeroed in on 5 main goals they think will improve the city's park systems. They include prioritizing safety, educating the masses, cultivating health and wellness, improving connectivity, and developing destinations.
One of the big themes in the Parks Master Plan is this idea of creating more destination-like parks. A lot of our parks could stand to have a good upgrade. There are other amenities that the community wants, such as some trails and connectivity efforts.
Attracting visitors and new residents is the goal of every growing city. But city officials say the parks plan was also developed with Joplin's 50,000 residents in mind, which is why a big part of the plan is keeping those parks many Joplinites have grown up with in tip-top shape.
There's also some kind of infrastructure things that we need to address with your traditional lighting or security systems and things that we need to do to protect our parks and protect our citizens.
There's a whole lot more to the 159-page Joplin Parks and Recreation Roadmap, which is meant to guide the growth of the city's parks for the next decade. You can read it in its entirety by checking out this story on KOAMnewsnow.com. In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Now, the Parks Master Plan was going to be presented to Joplin City Council this evening, but the meeting was canceled due to the weather. A Columbus, Kansas woman is dead following a wreck yesterday. It happened at noon on Northwest Bethlehem Road, about 6 miles west of K7. 54-year-old Pamela White was traveling west when her vehicle went airborne while crossing railroad tracks. When it landed, police say it went off the road, striking a tree. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The city of Joplin is reporting another COVID-19 death. The person was a 64-year-old male. This brings the total number of deaths in the city to 123. The state of Missouri launched a vaccine navigator today. Officials say it's a secure registry tool to get residents registered for the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, those who want to sign up will have to go through a questionnaire to ensure they're eligible for a vaccine under the current Missouri phases. To register online, you can go to mostopscovid.com/navigator. Missouri tasked 9 regional groups across the state with making sure Black and Latino communities had equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines, but the effort is off to a slow start. Now, KCUR reported Monday that nearly 2 months into the vaccine rollout, 4 of the regional teams aren't yet operational. Just 5% of doses in Missouri have gone to Black residents, even though Black people make up about 11.5% of the state's population. The theory behind the state plan was that a regional organization would know its area best, but regional officials say the effort is being hampered by a lack of state funding and confusion about what they see as vague state expectations. Well, coming up, some of the inmates at a Missouri detention center over the weekend used a faulty lock system to take over an entire floor. And an Oklahoma town mourns the loss of 4 people from a house fire, including 2 volunteer firefighters. Inmates took control of an entire floor of a detention center in Missouri over the weekend. More than 100 detainees broke windows, started fires, and threw various objects out of the window of the St. Louis Justice Center. According to authorities, a faulty lock system allowed inmates to leave their cells before seizing control of the entire 4th floor of the building. One man and eventually others reportedly assaulted a corrections officer who was taken to the hospital. This marks at least the 3rd incident of this kind in that detention center in recent weeks. The KOAM Morning Show today interviewed U.S. Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri. Now, he's come under fire in recent months for his push to contest the results of the presidential election, claiming there was possible voter fraud that should be investigated. We asked him if he recognizes President Biden as the official president.
So I recognize President Biden as the legitimate and duly elected president, and I hope that he'll be willing to reach across the aisle. You know, I was somebody who fought for greater stimulus checks, relief payments for individuals in our state who need them for COVID. Bernie Sanders and I worked together on that just last month. And so this is something that I would hope that we could find common ground on. But right now, as we speak, in fact, the Democrats are trying to change the rules in the Senate so that they can jam through their agenda, including COVID relief, without any Republican votes.
You can find the full interview with Senator Hawley on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The town of Waynoka is in mourning after 4 people, including 2 volunteer firefighters, were killed in a house fire last Friday. Reporter Brian Mueller is in Waynoka with what happened.
There is a pall over the Waynoka community today as they come to grips with the fact that 4 people that were family members, friends, and neighbors died this morning in a house fire. The state fire marshal's office says a house fire call came in just after 3 this morning from a resident inside this home on Locust Street. When the Waynoka Volunteer Fire Department responded, they found the front door was blocked by flames. Officials say firefighters tried to save the people inside, but 2 died in the house and 2 firefighters were killed when the roof caved in. The cause of the fire is still under investigation, and the names of the victims are not yet being released. The Waynoka, Alva, Woodward, and State Fire Marshal's office are all working at the scene.
It's going to be a time-consuming investigation. We're going to have to go slow, and it'll take a while to dig through it.
An employee at the inn across the street from the fire saw the flames from his office.
It looked like it was further away, so I wasn't real worried about it. But it kept taking longer and longer, and I kept watching it, and they got closer.
For this town of roughly 2,000 people, Gene says the impact is great.
I imagine it'll be rough on the whole town right now, but it's a strong town now, so.
Yeah.
Again, that was Brian Mueller reporting. Oklahoma health officials say there have been more than 2,000 new COVID-19 cases and 52 more deaths linked to COVID-19. The Oklahoma State Department of Health reported 2,174 new confirmed cases yesterday, bringing the state's total to nearly 404,000. The newly reported fatalities bring the death count to more than 3,800. The department reported more than 26,600 active cases as of Sunday. Meteorologist Nick Kelly is up next with a breakdown of our wintry forecast.
Make your
Same story for another day. Winter weather advisories were in effect throughout the entire day because of freezing drizzle, plenty of periods of it. And I don't see that shaking off until we start to go into the overnight hours. That's why winter weather advisories are in effect until we hit the midnight hour at the latest. Then we might get some breaks in the action come tomorrow. But drizzle in its own right is downright tricky. Not only is it too small to be picked up on the radar, it's forming about only a mile up, and temperatures at that range between 14 and 32. Drizzle can only exist in liquid form, and unfortunately, since it doesn't have much time and the structure doesn't allow it to freeze before it hits the ground, we are seeing, with the temperatures in place for today, anything coming from the skies is freezing drizzle. We're seeing at least a little bit more bouts of it now around Milnett, east of Neosho, parts of McDonald County, and south of Springfield, even a couple of clusters right around Grand Lake. But this is periods of freezing drizzle because of certainly the temperatures at the surface. 30 around the midnight hour, and then we just held in the 20s for much of the day, but now we're sitting in the upper teens around Joplin, and checking in at Joplin Regional now, it's actually 18 degrees, so I might have to adjust temperatures during the overnight hours. Still doesn't change the fact that it's cold, though. Feels like 6 with a north breeze at 10 miles per hour. It's 11 in Iola, 18 in Joplin, 30 in Anderson, 19 in Miami. Everybody's just flat out cold no matter where you are. And even though we're going to shake off some of the freezing drizzle during the overnight, we're going to hold on to some areas of freezing drizzle, and everyone's going to say cold, with temperatures bottoming out in the teens tonight. At least we're not alone in dealing with this. It's not just our parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri dealing with freezing drizzle. It extends from Wichita all the way through the southern Ozarks and northern parts of Arkansas. At the surface, we have a stationary front part across southern Missouri. That's helping at the surface to get this moisture to lift up and cause that drizzle to develop. That's going to start to fade away as we head into tomorrow, so that's going to help us out somewhat. But as long as we're still underneath this big upper low, we're going to continue to see waves come on through, keeping us busy over the next several days. So periods of freezing drizzle continue for the rest of the evening. But looking at the latest with Doug, once we get past the midnight hour, we should back things down to just a couple areas of freezing drizzle as we go into tomorrow morning and throughout the day tomorrow. Still doesn't change the fact that if you encounter freezing drizzle, if you have to be on the roads, just take it nice and slow. Otherwise, stay off the roads if you can, because not only are the side roads a mess, some of the main roads can be a bit tricky as well. As far as temperatures for tomorrow, so far I have us starting at 17 in the morning, 23 by noon, highs around 25. Once we get past a relatively quieter Tuesday, we'll go into Wednesday with another wave on the way. That'll start to pick up the freezing drizzle again, but hopefully as we get colder aloft and a little more moisture on the way, hopefully we can see a little bit more in the way of sleet and snow trying to mix in to help balance things out. Thankfully, though, once we get by Thursday, cold enough air aloft and at the surface, it's going to mean sleet and snow chances possible Thursday. Still looking light at this time. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll stay dry for Friday, but then another quick wave comes in for Saturday. That certainly looks like a decent chance for snow on Saturday as we turn just flat out cold by early next week. 25 tomorrow, lower to middle 20s all the way through Friday. Teens for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Chris. And unfortunately, we could see lows sneak below zero by the time we hit Sunday and Monday morning.
Well, it's just more reason to stay inside and definitely bundle up. And like you said, stay off the roads tonight. They're pretty darn slick out there.
Yeah, and for those that have to be out, just please take it nice and slow and plan ahead.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. And as Nick said, this cold weather impacting plenty of areas. Details on some multi-vehicle pileups on Oklahoma interstates because of the weather. Winter weather has led to more than 100 traffic accidents in Oklahoma. At least 43 were reported in Oklahoma City Monday morning, including this multi-vehicle pileup on the entrance ramp to Interstate 40. Now, 5 people injured in the wreck have been taken to hospitals. One of them is in critical condition. Another multi-vehicle accident on I-35 resulted in at least 1 death. Areas of freezing drizzle and mist, along with plummeting temperatures, as we've seen here, have continued to move across the state of Oklahoma through the morning. Now, counties north of I-40 in the west and north of I-44 in the east, including Oklahoma City and the Tulsa metro areas, experiencing extremely slick highways, interstates, bridges, and overpasses. Drivers have got to slow down and use extra caution on those elevated surfaces. And black ice is causing hazardous conditions across the northern portions of Oklahoma, and motorists are discouraged from traveling if possible. We may recall there was a derecho in August in Iowa, and Cedar Rapids is still cleaning up in a full-time job. Even now, crews have a long way to go. Weather First meteorologist from our sister station there, Sarah Flynn, looks at the progress and what's left.
To date, we picked up over 3.2 million cubic yards of tree debris.
Hundreds of thousands of truckloads over the duration of just 6 months, and the city of Cedar Rapids is not done.
Sun up to sundown, 7 days a week, basically since the storm. So the only time we've really stopped is obviously for a couple of snowstorms.
Here is what 1 cubic yard of debris looks like. Estimates include anywhere from 1.5 to 2+ million cubic yards of debris. Now that's approximately 100,000 more dumpsters filled, roughly about 30 to 40% more of that debris to collect, a process that is likely going to take several more months.
Obviously, we're dealing with a huge volume of it, so trying to find a use for, 1 million+ cubic yards of mulch is going to be difficult to do, but
the city did find a use, repurposing the debris into mulch and agricultural products. While the debris cleanup is nearing an end, the process of replanting trees has just begun.
It became immediately apparent that we needed to do a massive replanting effort.
With the help of volunteers and fundraising, Trees Forever was able to replant 1,600 trees before winter struck, but that's only a mere 0.25% of the canopy replenished.
It's going to take years to get our trees replanted. Just in Cedar Rapids alone, we're now looking at 600,000 trees lost.
Trees Forever says they're looking ahead to the spring, continuing several programs furthering the recovery process.
Planning to do residential adoption programs like the one we did this fall in Cedar Rapids. We'll be doing one in Marion and reaching out to other neighborhoods and other communities in the derecho area.
But they plan to replant in better ways to benefit the community long term.
What we can hope for is planting even smarter than we planted before, planting native trees, native species that will be more resilient.
We got a final check of our forecast next. We take time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Joseph Whitlock served in the Navy from 2005 to 2009, his hometown Joplin. We're proud to recognize Joseph Whitlock, tonight's four-state hero. Time now for this. Jordan Obby joining us with a look at what's coming up on our sister station, the KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Tonight at 9, many roads in the area have been dangerously slippery ever since yesterday, causing school cancellations. Parents in Miami, though, are frustrated why students there were still asked to attend. Plus, Tampa Bay's mayor says she's upset over the lack of masks at this year's Super Bowl celebrations. Also, a breakdown of how many people have been experiencing coronavirus vaccine side effects. That and much more coming away tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Nick Kelly joins us now with a check of that forecast. Nick, it's chilly, it's cold, it's not good to be out, is it?
No, especially with the freezing drizzle sticking with us through the evening, Chris. We'll try to taper some of it off tomorrow, but we'll stay cold and cloudy with highs in the 20s. Hopefully with colder air on the way, we can see more sleet and snow chances by Thursday and by the weekend. We'll get a fresh look at this entire forecast at 9 on Fox 14 and right here at 10, Chris.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. And of course, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in your favorite app store. All you've got to do is search for the KOAM News app. That's our time for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back here at 10. And remember, for the latest news, weather, sports, and school closings anytime, just head to our website as well, KOAMnewsnow.com. Good night.